Hello everyone, welcome to this little tweaking session that I'm going to do here on Forza Horizon 4. So I'm playing on an old laptop by this day and age. It's about 4 years old. It's a Lenovo Y50, and inside it has a GTX 860M, and I believe it has for CPU an Intel, I think it's a 4700 HQ. Quad-core processor. And I have 16 gigs of RAM, which is probably more than most of these laptops came with. And then I also sprung for the extra 2 gigabytes of VRAM. So most of these have 2 gigabyte GPUs. I have a 4 gigabyte GPU. So that may make a difference in the results here. But I am always interested in seeing how this thing performs with modern games. And as you can see, if your eyes are watering right now, it's probably because you will notice the frame counter in the upper right-hand corner. It is running at roughly 20 to 24 FPS on a regular basis. Cinematic indeed. So, this is on ultra settings with 4x MSAA and FXAA on. And I also turn motion blur up to ultra. It typically knocks motion blur to normal and MSAA to 2x, and then FXAA is off. So I turned all of that back on. But you can tell it's not running very well. So typically from this laptop, in the past I have gotten roughly the same performance as an original Xbox One. So that's kind of what I'm aiming for here. Now the Xbox One, of course this game was made for the Xbox One, so it takes advantage of that system very well. It's very well optimized for it. And as such, it runs at 30 FPS, but at 1080p. I'm not convinced we'll be able to run at 1080p, but we'll see. We'll try. So it is at 1080p right now. You can see the GPU, it's being maxed out pretty much. It's at 99, 98-ish, sometimes hitting 100. So let's go ahead and jump into the menu here. So if you go into the settings, you're going to see a whole bunch of stuff you can tweak. And one thing you will notice is there's this dynamic optimization option that you can turn on. That is an option, obviously, you can mess around with. I personally have not found it to do a whole lot of good. So I'm just saying that. I'm not going to be using that. I'm deciding to tweak them individually instead. So anisotropic filtering for me has to stay on, either high or ultra. I don't know what setting, 8x or 16x or whatever, but I like to have at least 8x anisotropic filtering because I hate the blurry ground textures. Now there's some debate, does this game actually use anisotropic filtering properly? Sometimes it looks like it's not. Night shadows, I don't know if you need those on. I don't think the original Xbox One version has those on, actually. I think those are only on the X and on the 4K mode on the X at that. Shadow quality, almost universally, the thing I knock down first when I need frames in a game is shadow quality. Going from ultra to high in many scenarios will not make a huge visual difference. You'll notice it, but it's not the end of the world. So we were at, let's see, 21-ish before, now we're at like 24, so it didn't really impact much. Alright, so moving along here. This is a bad thing, you have to go all the way through these menus every single time. I will edit this out if I can, if not, then sorry. But there we go. Let's go to... So motion blur, for me, when a game... I'm targeting at 30 FPS, obviously. There's no way this thing will do 60 at any resolution, I don't think. But first thing I'll do is knock up the motion blur personally because I like it. A lot of people don't like it. So if you don't, feel free. You can go all the way to low. I don't know if that's actually going to do you any good because you can't... I thought you could turn it off. Never mind. Environment texture quality. That is more of a VRAM thing. So if you, again, don't have the 4 gigabyte GPU, you might want to consider knocking that down to higher medium. I'm going to leave it at ultra for now, unless I find out it's taxing my RAM and actually causing it to slow down because of that. But that will come in time. So let's see. I'm going to leave all the, let's see. You know what? Maybe let's try reflections. I feel like SSAO, you can turn this off completely, I know. It's on high. Let's knock it down to medium. Let's knock reflection quality down to medium. You know what's funny is I don't think I need reflection on the windshield at all because I'm not in the cockpit view. But if you are, you definitely probably want to keep that on. So I can probably go ahead and get rid of that. Mirror quality, again, you know, I'm not really paying attention to mirrors. I don't think it'll hit that much in performance, but I'll knock it down anyway. World car level of detail. This is something that's kind of big for me. I like to keep that on ultra if possible. If not, if it does impact performance, then I will knock it down. But that is, I mean, you're always looking at your car while you're racing, so you want the most detail possible, I think. Deformable terrain. That's like snow and whatnot whenever you're driving through it, I believe. So I'm not in winter right now, but I still want to keep it to a higher level, I think, just because I want to see that snow and mud and whatever else deform underneath my tires. SSR, yeah, I don't know. Screen space reflections is what SSR stands for. So SSR is typically in some games can be pretty taxing. I'm not sure how taxing in this game, but I know that I definitely want to keep them on. I'm guessing this just lowers the resolution and makes them a little easier for your machine to power through. And then lens effects. This is a debatable for me as well. This is whenever you are driving in rain, for example. You have rain, like drops of water, appearing on the screen. To me, they actually kind of get in the way, so they're not a huge necessity, and I sometimes actually prefer to just turn them off. So I'm going to turn them off. Okay, welcome back. I have restarted. You can see now I'm still in the low 20 to mid 20 range. I feel like I've gained a couple of FPS, but most of those options just don't do a whole lot of good. Now, does that mean you can leave them up? Well, I probably wouldn't, because the fact of the matter is they do impact performance to some degree, but they're not doing you any favors. And the fact that they're so negligible visually, I think, means you can leave them turned down and get those few frames without having to lose a lot of quality. So what I think is happening here, I think I'm using too much VRAM. I can't tell how much I'm using because MSI Afterburner and RTSS won't work with this game. I don't know why. I guess it's because it's DirectX 12 or because of UWP or whatever. But I'm going to go ahead and lower the texture quality. And I think that might help us out here. The other thing, obviously, I could go ahead and lower the resolution. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and do that first. Let's try 1600 by 900. So like I said, the Xbox One version runs this game at 1080p. And it does so with 4X MSAA on. It doesn't have FXAA on, I don't think. But 4X, I know it does have 4X MSAA, which does help smooth out the jagged edges, and it looks very nice. But that may be too much for us to handle on this poor little laptop here. Okay, so immediately you can see our frame rate shot up about 10 FPS. So we gained about 50% of our performance back just by knocking it down to 16 by 9. Now here's the thing. 1600 by 900, if you're playing on a laptop screen, I have the 15-inch model. I know there's a 17-inch model, but either way, personally, I think if you're playing on a screen that small, I don't think 1600 by 900 is a big deal. But if you're playing it obviously on like a 50-inch TV or something, then you start to get into the argument, should you knock down the visual quality as far as resolution goes, or should you go somewhere else? Well, that's up to you. But right now we're looking okay. Oh, those hitches, I'm not sure I'll be able to fix those, unfortunately. I just feel like that might be part of the game. Now that could be textures. That could be a texture problem because they could be rather large, and my little laptop here may have trouble loading that in, and so that could be causing it to hitch, similar to something that Watch Dogs did back, was that 5 years ago or so now. But so let's see here. I'm kind of torn because I'm running okay. Now this is where if you are running at 60, you can cap the frame rate to 30. And sometimes it might get rid of some of that hitching that we're seeing, but I'm not gonna count on that to be the case. But let's see. Nope, it's still dropping frames. You can see. So it's going along smoothly. Going along smooth. Up, drop down to what is that? 20, 26, 27. Okay, so in that case, again, I'm running at 4x MSAA. Now, Ultra's preset took it down to 2x MSAA. MSAA can be pretty taxing, especially on newer games. So I'm wondering what kind of impact it would have if I turn it down to 2. I'm definitely going to keep FXAA on because I've always found FXAA combined with MSAA gives a nice clean image in comparison to just one or the other. So I'm going to leave that on. I'm going to knock this down to 2x. Again now, this is a required restart. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to leave you and come back. So we'll do that now. Okay, welcome back. Now you can see it's still locked at 30 because I still have it capped at 30. But the GPU utilization is down in the 70s and 80s now for the most part. I see it going up into the 90s. But it's not capping like it was, not hitting that 100% like it was. And it's still running at 30 pretty smoothly here. So for the most part, I feel like we've kind of almost achieved our goal here. So it's time to actually try a race out. I switched cars as well. I just felt like it'd be easier. Well, of course, they put me on the street. It's a street race, but I just wanted to... But it is a night race, so we have all the lighting going on. And you can see we still have the headlight shadows, which, as I said, the original Xbox One does not have. So there's that. Of course, everything else, we're running at a lower resolution. We have lower MSAA, but we do have FXAA to kind of sort of help that out. It's not really the same as keeping 4X, but we'll take it. Again, forgive my horrible driving. I'm really bad at this game. But I am playing on above average AI, so it's not totally stock, to say as a car enthusiast would say. It's not stock, bro. Oh no. So it looks pretty good. I mean, it's not, it's up in the 90s. The GPU utilization's up in the 90s, so we're getting close to that limit, but thankfully it's not really going over it, which is probably it's probably helped by the fact that we only have a few cars on screen at a time, as opposed to the entire bunch of them. But although that would be more of a CPU thing, I think. But yeah, the hitching's gone, which is good. You know what? I'm going to do the... What is this option for if you're not going to use it, right? I know I could turn better than that. Sort of. Just need to catch up here. Hang on. Oh, you jerks. Knocking me off the road like that. See, this is why I switched to the Subaru. In case I have to go off-road. Oh my god, that's a lot of oncoming traffic. Okay. Oh, now we're dropping some frames a little bit, but it's not too bad. Oh, that was bad. That was bad. Alright, here we go. We're moving on to around the corner. Watch out. I'm not really looking at the... I'm looking at the frames. I'm not looking at the map in the bottom left. So I don't know where the heck I'm turning at. Okay. There's that. So I'm in second. So I think I'll take second if I finish in this spot. I'm not embarrassed by second so much as like ninth. But yeah, so far this race, it's only dropped frames a few times. Nothing that you couldn't overcome, nothing that I couldn't handle. So yeah, I think it looks pretty smooth as far as that goes. Now I'm gonna try an off-road race. I figured that would be ideal. As another kind of test, since it's a completely different kind of race, different terrain, etc. So let's see here. So at the start of every race, because there are a lot of cars on the screen at once, and I do have world car detail set to ultra, it is a lot for the CPU to handle, I think, so it is dipping down into the 20s, like high 20s, granted, but it is dipping down. So if you want to fix that, I'm guessing World Car Detail might do that. I could probably tweak that myself and try it. Let's see. As long as it doesn't require a restart. I don't want to freaking restart, but let's go down here. World Car Detail. Okay, so I can turn that down without having to restart, which is good. Now I'm going to restart the event. Now let's see if that actually fixes the slight frame dips at the beginning of each race. The downside, of course, is that your car doesn't look quite as detailed and quite as nice, but it still looks pretty good. You might be hard-pressed to notice if you weren't actually doing a side-by-side comparison. So yeah, if you see there, as of now, we're not actually getting those dips anymore, so knocking it down to highs. Okay. If you're so inclined, if the frame dips to 28, 27 bug you that much, that'll clear it up for you, as far as I can tell from this example. And of course, the next race that I probably do will have those dips again, and it will nullify my point, but I am not going to include that in this video. But okay, here we go. It looks really nice, really smooth, no problems, no dips as of yet. It could also be the terrain difference, I don't know. Cities tend to slow things down a little more, I think, because there's more textures to swap in. I'm not 100% sure on that. It may be a complete lie. I may completely be full of it, but I tend to remember the city environments in Forza Horizon 3 being more of a problem than open environments, but maybe there's another reason for that. Now, it did dip a little bit back there down to 28. Not the end of the world. I can deal with that. If you can't, you have plenty of other things to tinker with. You can start with the environment texture quality if you want, or the dynamic, whatever the hell it was called, the deformation. There's no deformation going on right now, so I don't think that would fix anything. But yeah, maybe it's textures. Now, if you have a 2 GB GPU, obviously you're probably going to have to tweak more settings than I did, because the biggest culprit, I'm guessing, would be the textures. So you'll probably have to knock the texture quality down, and possibly then the same settings everywhere else might give you the same results that I'm getting. But this little thing, I'm telling you, it punches above its weight much more so than I ever expected it to. I can't believe that I'm playing, you know, games 4 years later on this thing that are enjoyable. still in an enjoyable state, and I don't have to turn the settings all the way down and whatnot. But I was hoping to knock him off the road. I misjudged that badly. And again, it looks like I'm going to come in second, which is awesome. Nothing better on the internet than coming in second while you're showing everybody how your gaming skills are. Yeah, second, baby. There we are. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and finish this up, and then I'm going to run the benchmark. And we're off to a rousing start at 97% GPU utilization, and here we go. I see up to 98, 99%, so I'm expecting a few frame drops any moment now. But it hasn't happened yet. We're still at 30. And they're rounding the corner. And it's still holding strong at 30 FPS. Now we're down in the 80s percentile-wise. Now we're rounding another corner, going through short straightaway. Here comes the raindrops. That's what we're looking forward to the most here, because I couldn't simulate them in another race of my own. Here we go. Down a straightaway, out in the countryside now. Now a harsher left as they hit the corner. He pulls ahead of 2 of them. Oh, he's all the way up to 6th now. 6th out of 12. Can he pull into 5th at any point in this race? Ladies and gentlemen, it looks like he has overtaken 5th place. We are now in 5th place. Rounding the right, rounding the left. Here he comes up on 4th as the sun slowly sets and the headlight shadows take effect. There we go. Still have yet to drop below 30. Looking pretty good. Now, here we go. And it looks like we achieved our goal. 30 FPS average. Never dropped once. Just to go through the options once again. Dynamic optimization off. Resolution 1600 by 900. Frame rate cap 30. VSync on. Full screen on. Motion blur long. You can turn it to short if you want, but I left it at long. Don't show that again. Then we have anisotropic filtering. Ultra. Night shadows on. Shadow quality high. Motion blur quality ultra. Environment texture quality ultra. Static geometry quality ultra. Dynamic geometry ultra. Dynamic geometry quality ultra. MSAA 2x. FXAA on. SSAO quality medium. Reflection quality medium. Windshield reflection off. Mirror quality high. World car level of detail high. I prefer ultra. Deformable terrain high quality. SSR quality medium. And lens effects off. You can turn that back on. I don't think it'll have a huge impact on performance, but I prefer them off. Shader quality ultra. Particle effects quality high. And there you go. That's our settings. We achieved 30 FPS on a Lenovo Y50 from 2014. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you did, like and subscribe, please. There will be more coming in the future. I enjoy doing these. They're a little long-winded. I apologize if you don't like the long format, but that's kind of why I do them, because I like it. So, until next time, everybody, thanks for tuning in, and goodbye.